Okay, so we're just going to go back and clean up some of these lines just so it's following nicely around the edge of the dress. Once we've got half the dress made, Option, click Shift and mirror that again. And then bring those two in close, just lock those into place. And we just want to select these two endpoints. So you've locked these ones behind, so you're not going to interfere with those. So just select those two endpoints and join those. Right, and then we've got pretty much a nice shape for that dress. So the next thing we're going to do is just to add the bottom. You can always go back and adjust this as well. So if you think it's too narrow or too wide at some places, you can always just go ahead and adjust that. But remember, whatever you adjust for one side, do adjust for the other side. It's probably a little bit wider there. Maybe the hips are a little bit wider. Something like that. Now for the bottom, instead of just doing a straight hem across, click once and let's just add something that's a bit more interesting. Just a slight curve at the bottom. Just go ahead and adjust that a little bit. Doesn't need to be too wavy. Just something that gives you a sense that it's a soft flowing fabric. Right, so we've got that entire shape made. Let's choose our swatches again, and then we can fill that and just take away the stroke. Now if we select that and center back, there, that's looking quite good. And now really it's just adding in the details. So the first little detail is we've got this little kind of flat thing going across the middle. So I think I'm going to create that. It's one straight line. Now it's a stitch line, so I'm just going to use the eyedropper tool to pick up this stitching here. So that's stitched across there, and what we want to do next is the curved part. So let's create that curved bit, which is not a dashed line. So get your stroke palette and just unclick that. And then we can just move this around and just lock that into place. So we've got one dash line and one non-dash line. I've not mirrored any of these. I'm just drawing that basically freehand. I think the details, you don't really need an exact mirror. I'm actually going to fill this with the color of the dress. And then I'm going to select that. I'm going to copy and then paste in front. And essentially that's going to give me two shapes. So I'm just going to drag one of those shapes down. I'm going to fill with the darker colour and take away that stroke. And that's just going to become the shadow behind that shape. So what I'm going to do is just drag this down just to make that a little bit longer. And just widen up that shadow a little bit. I'm going to select this shape. I'm going to bring to front and then just push that one back up there. And then we just get a nice little shadow on that detail. So the other details you need to look at now are where the stitching is. So if you zoom in on this, there's a couple of rows of stitching right down the middle. We have some darts coming in here, and these are just all simple lines, so using the pen tool. And we've got the hem along the bottom. So all these details are going to be made up using possibly the straight line tool. Make sure you always got the darker stitch. Remember, you can pick up stitching details with your eyedropper tool, and that's just going to be a matter of just building that up, taking the time and just looking at where those details sit within the dress. So things like the seams don't go over details like this. And you'll do exactly the same for the back. So it's using the same basic shapes. I think the only difference with the back is that you do have a split up the back, so whichever way you choose to represent that, just make sure you're using some nice details and just using the pen tool and some shadows to show where that split at the back is. Okay, so the next video is going to be the detail, which I'm going to show you how to create the zip.